bien.
On est en retard, en fait, ça commence à 14.
Ah bah oui, alors.
Moi j'ai lancé le
non.
live.
Non, après.
J'ai lancé le stream.
Ok, bah, on appelle. C'est qui les premiers émissifs
Décarbonate.
Décarbonate. Oui.
La société. Nous appelons la société Décarbonate. Nous appelons la société Décarbonise, voilà. Parce qu'on a un agenda à tenir, les amis. Et on a un grand public. Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue dans le stand belge.
C'est moi. D'accord, j'y vais. All right, good afternoon everybody. I am Frederic, I'm the co-founder of Decarbonize, and I'm thrilled to be here with you to tell you a bit more about what we are doing, but also to bring some element of answers to the two most important questions we receive from our customers. How the coming environmental regulations will impact my business in terms of reporting, and how do I report on these environmental data? All right, so let me try first to find the clicker. I guess it's here. Yeah, so Decarbonize, what do? We develop a software to measure greenhouse gas emissions in order to help our customers to reduce their CO2 emissions, but also to comply with environmental regulations. So basically we collect data related to energy, mobility, logistics, travels, and so on. We put them into the software, and then you get access to your results, your assessment that you can track over time. You can also get your reports that are completely compliant with the coming environmental regulations, and I'll tell a word about it in a minute. And then you'll have a series of tools to make sure that you can manage your reduction plan. So make your forecast, assess the projects that you will want to implement to reduce your greenhouse gas emissions, and so on. We work particularly with industrial firms, large and small. We operate in 12 different countries, and we work currently with a bit more than 30 customers. But enough about us. So let's focus on the point of today, measuring greenhouse gas emissions. So I mentioned carbon footprint, but do you know that behind a carbon footprint assessment, you have the assessment of all the greenhouse gases that are recognized by the Kyoto Protocol. These are the greenhouse gases. And why it is important to measure them? Well, let me tell you a story. Just 10 years ago, I graduated from university. And I was thinking about my summer body, you know, just before summer, just before going on holiday. And believe me, I didn't look like I look today. So what is the first thing I did when I wanted to start a diet? I bought a scale. I bought a scale because I wanted to know what is my weight so that I can set a target and I can track my progress over time and be happy with my weight loss, right? This is exactly the same in carbon accounting. If you want to reduce, you need to measure. We cannot reduce what we do not measure. That's the key message of today. And the European Commission is also thinking about its summer body, but it will take a bit more time. You all know these targets, right? By 2050, we want to be carbon neutral in Europe, and this is great, but to get there, we need to reduce, so we need to measure. And this is why the European Commission will force companies to measure their greenhouse gas emissions. How? Well, through these different acronyms that I call the new nightmares of the ESG managers. All of them are now thinking about them. CSRD, CSDDD, what else? CBAM, TCFD, CDP. Maybe you've heard about them, maybe it rings a bell. But for today, I suggest we focus on this one, the CSRD. And why? Well, because it will be implemented in January 2024, so next January. So what is the CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive? The CSRD is a series of, is a directive into which you will have different regulations. It will make clear what you have to report on your ESG data. All right? It will focus on companies above 250 employees to start with, but over time, it will also target listed SMEs. Okay? So, how does it change your business? It means that now, under the CSRD, you will have to report on your emissions, Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3. And if you don't know what it is, well, you will know in just a moment. What does it mean as well? It means that if you are under the threshold of 250 employees, but you are working with companies that fall under this new directive, it is highly likely that they will ask you, your customers, to perform a greenhouse gas inventory, because you will have to report your data, you will have to disclose your data to your supplier. And why? Because they will want to work with suppliers that will make their life easier to report on their data. And as you can see, a part of your emissions as a supplier will be a part of the emissions of your customers. So this is why it will be part now on the requirements of the procurement departments when there will be RFPs and so on. So keep that in mind. And how do we measure greenhouse gas emissions? Well, I guess that's the second point of today. There are different methodologies, standards. So there's the greenhouse gas protocol. This is the one that we use, but we also use the one from France, from the French agency ADEME. There is also ISO. You've got other standards in the UK, so you've got different standards, but they are pretty much all very much similar. And the key point to understand how to have a good assessment is to focus on two things: accuracy and completeness. How can we be accurate with the data collection? So you need to focus on two variables: your activity data. So that will be, for example, the kilogram of plastics that your company purchases. That will be the kilowatt hour of electricity that you consume, the liters of gasoline that you put in your car. If you can get those data accurate, then you multiply them by an emission factor. So an emission factor is the ratio that will convert, for example, 1 liter of gasoline into kilogram of CO2 equivalent, 1 kilometer of driven with a car, that will be translated into kilogram of CO2 equivalent. If you have them accurate, then you will have a good assessment. You will have your accuracy. But it's not over. You also need to have the scope of your analysis to be complete. And how to make sure that it is complete? You need to focus on the three scopes. Scope 1, the direct emissions from fossil fuels, mostly from fossil fuels that you burn during your activities, into your heating system or your car. Scope 2 would be mainly the electricity. And Scope 3, it will be everything else. And I know it sounds complicated to measure, but it is not. If you have a good methodology, and if you are very pragmatical, it is not. Scope 3 is divided in two areas. The upstream part, well, you will measure your inbound logistics, your assets, your purchases, and so on. And the outbound, the downstream part of your Scope 3, that will be related to your investments, the usage of your product, and how your product, for example, ends its life. Okay? Completeness, accuracy. Why does it matter? Well, because 80–90% of companies claim that they want to reduce their CO2 emissions. You know, it's very rare now to find a company that is not talking about this, right? But in reality, what we notice is less than 10% effectively succeeded to reduce efficiently their CO2 emissions. So why is that? It's because they do not measure completely and accurately. One more time, if you don't measure, you can't reduce. So how do we do? Concretely, that's how we work with our customers when it comes to support them to measure the greenhouse gas emissions. First, we focus on the completeness aspect of our assignment. We draw an activity flow chart to make sure that we cover everything we have to cover. Then we identify where is the data and who has the data, who is the data owner. So we fill in the data owner here in our template, and then we work with the data owner, so we connect with them, we explain them what is a carbon footprint, what is the data that we need. So there is a bit of education, a bit of awareness to be done here, but it's very important to set the foundations for the next carbon footprint assessment. All right? And that's what we do, and then we put the data into our software, and at the end of the day, you've got your report compliant with different standards, and you can choose the one that you want to work with. Okay? So now, just to end this presentation, let me share some case studies that we've experienced with some of our customers. So we have a good expertise in the service industry, in the manufacturing industry, and in the retail dealer industry. And what we can notice is that there is a sort of emission pattern, emission profile that is typical to your industry. So for example, if you're a service company here, well, we know with a good level of precision that on average, a law firm, a consulting firm, an insurance would emit around 10 tons of CO2 per employee. So if you're an office of 50 people based in Brussels, that would be 550 tons of CO2 per year. It's the equivalent of 156 football pitches full of trees to capture these emissions. So it's a lot of trees. It's already a lot of emissions, and we're only talking about service companies. Now, if we move on to a manufacturing company, so a company that is purchasing parts, changing them, putting them together, and selling these parts to another company, we are around 40 tons of CO2 per employee. Again, an average manufacturing plant of 500 people would be around 25,000 tons of CO2. Then the number of football pitches, it's a bit higher, right? 7,400 football pitches, full of trees. And now, the cherry on top of the pie, retailers, dealer, it's very difficult to make an average here because it depends on the product that you sell. If your product requires a lot of energy to be used, think about a car, the diesel, the electricity that you need to put in your car, then your carbon footprint explodes, literally. And that's the case for a car dealer. The gasoline that you will have to put in the car throughout throughout the life cycle of the car will be put it here in the usage phase, and then your carbon footprint explodes. Yep. Also, what we are able to do now, well, thanks to the data that we collect, is to answer the famous question, how do we compare with others? When you do a carbon footprint assessment, everyone wants to know how he or she compares to others. And it's very difficult to answer, but we start to have some patterns. And what we do is to have a deep dive into our database, and we try to bring some elements of comparison on the top emissions of our customers. And this is what we did, for example, for a customer that is active in the service industry. Now, I'd like to finish on this slide, why you should do a carbon footprint assessment. What's in it for you? Well, let me give you the 3 main takeaways of our customers. It's not a sales pitch here. This is what happened to our customers. First, some of them got a competitive advantage. Why? Because now, instead of saying, I'm sustainable, I can tell you by how much I'm sustainable, or at least I can tell you how mature I am regarding this activity. The second point is, some of our customers now, they score more points on RFPs because they are able to disclose their CO2 data, and they are able to answer the procurement's questions about their CO2 emissions. The other big advantage is to comply with regulations. An important thing to know is it takes time to have a good carbon footprint assessment. On average, we notice that it takes between 2 to 3 carbon footprint assessments, so 2 to 3 years, to have a good carbon footprint assessment. The first one is always like a blurred picture. You know, it's not very precise because you need to rise your maturity, your data collection maturity. So it takes time. And if you have to be compliant with the regulations by 1 or 2 years, and it takes 3 years to have a good carbon footprint, better to start now. You can also avoid being accused of greenwashing if you measure your CO2 emissions. And again, if you target to be carbon neutral, well, before committing to that, it's always good to know where you are. Because we had the case with customers saying, well, I know where I want to be by 2040, I want to be carbon neutral. That's fantastic. But then when we arrive and we say, okay, now you're here, you want to be there, so the slope is this. What does it mean? It means that sometimes it's a bit too optimistic or a bit more expensive than we expected if we have to purchase carbon credits. So that's very important to measure as well. And the last one is to increase your sales, to increase your profitability, because some of our customers actually came with a strong marketing arguments with a carbon footprint to be more sustainable than a competitive product. It optimizes your value chain. It means that you will hunt everything you can decrease, everything you can reduce, everything you can optimize. So you will do good to your own processes by looking at your CO2 emissions. And last, it incentivizes people for talent attraction and talent retention. So folks, thank you very much for your attention. If you have questions, we're just over there with my colleague Thomas, and I wish you a very good event. Thank you very much. Who's next? You are next.
Merci bien. Je peux prendre ta petite... So, hi everyone. My name is Guillaume Franco. I'm the co-founder of Incense. And at Incense, we believe that innovation and technology will change the way industry will manage rotating equipment. Our mission is to eliminate unplanned downtime and reduce the electrical overconsumption of rotating equipment in the industry, such as pumps, conveyors, fans, mixers. We realize that through the electrical signals that power the machine, we are able to detect electrical and mechanical failure on the machine so that we can avoid unplanned downtime. And what is really interesting is that with the same data, with the same electrical signals, we are also able to highlight the possible gains of energy consumption of those rotating equipment. And we have to keep in mind that industrial motors, industrial machines consume about 40% of the world electricity consumption. So every slight improvement of energy gains at that level can have a considerable impact on a financial and, of course, environmental scale. Here is some example of the last use case we had in the industry. So you can see here every slight improvement of energy for crusher pumps can have a considerable impact on the energy price and energy consumption of different plants. And here is some example of the kind of problem that we can detect on electrical machines such as pumps, crusher, etc. Here is some example of few customers. So we are working in the industry, heavy industry, petrochemistry, mining, water industry, food industry. That's it. Let's keep it short. If you want to know more about what we are doing, feel free. We're just at the corner right there, and we will be happy to answer your question.
Allô. Test. Good. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome on this session about the latest trends in authentication for the luxury market. I'm Laurence Janssens. I'm the CEO of Selinco. So Selinco today protects about 1.5 billion in value of luxury assets. We're also really active in the French luxury ecosystem, and a proud member of La Maison des Startups, the incubator of the LVMH group. So today I'm not alone here to talk about the authentication trends in luxury, because I have with me Maria of Electronic Marin. Maria, why don't I let you introduce yourself?
Sure. Laurence, thank you very much for this invitation. So effectively, I represent Microelectronic Company. So we are a Swiss foundry. We are producing the integrated circuits, which will basically empower the data carriers, which will be activated by Selinco software. Very happy to be here and to speak together with you about authentication.
Sure. So maybe let's remind everybody a bit about what's going on in luxury, right? So first thing is, unfortunately, you still have a lot of counterfeit goods in luxury. So in some market, it's a very painful reality. Sometimes up to 40% of counterfeit goods. So it really requires for brands to work on their authentication. Maria, you wanted to add something?
Sure, Laurence. I think it's effectively it's crucial, especially looking at the trend of increasing omnichannel sales, even of luxury brands. Right? There are a lot of sales online, and effectively counterfeit is one of the questions that is basically becoming central in this trend. Probably the second trend we also wanted to mention and to say that our solution addresses it is democratization of luxury, basically capability and desire and offering of the second-hand luxury garments.
Correct. So today that's really an emergent trend that really we see that brands want to engage with consumers. Giving you an example, in fashion, most of the Gen Z will go into websites where they can buy second-hand fashion accessories, and they will want to make sure that that product is authentic, right? And it's also an opportunity for the brands then to engage those new consumers and bring them in the universe of the brand. So we're going to talk now a little bit about how can we offer something to the brand to really capture this opportunity. So Maria, you wanna start explain a bit what Electronic Marin does?
Sure. So our common solution, Electronic Marin, is delivering the technology for the data carrier. So we are empowering those secure NFC data carriers activated by Selinco, and we are also having an absolutely unique technology. It is called a dual frequency technology. So basically, we unite on one integrated circuit, one label attached to the product, the benefits of NFC with RAIN RFID. So I'm having a small example of this technology already implemented into the into the label. So this is an IC which will be read by two interfaces, NFC and UHF, and it will allow basically capability to authentify the product using a smartphone. And not only, it will also allow to read the product using RAIN-RFID infrastructure. And basically, you will be able to realize all the operations needed in the product life cycle from the very beginning, supply chain, and up to the arrival of the product in the hands of the customer. So this is what we are delivering in our solution. What about you, Laurence?
So obviously, what is maybe new in this, Maria, is that most of the brands are already used to traceability within their supply chain, right? So before really the product leaves the manufacturing environment. What we do at Selinco is we basically allow the brand to let the consumer engage with the product once it's in his hand, right? So with a simple tab, poof, on the product, the customer can be engaged. He can go frictionless into the digital universe of the brand, and the brand can basically curate the experience that it's going to open to the customer. On top of that, it will also certify that the product is authentic. On the back end, our platform will capture all those product scans, and we will offer to the brand the opportunity to really real-time look at what's happening with those products, right? How are those customers interacting? Are some of the campaigns more effective than others? And that they don't need to use a web interface. I mean, they will not need to use a web-based analytic tools, but really what's happening from the product perspective. So as you see, authentication is changing. And Maria, there are some difference with what was done in the past. So if you could comment on a little bit how different is authentication in the requirements today?
Sure, basically fully agree with you. Because of the changes in the mode of consumption of luxury, we can say that this solution Microelectronic and Solinco is bringing to the market today is able basically to be accessible by the whole value chain. As mentioned, we have this unique dual frequency technology. It will enable all the stakeholders of the chain to connect to the label, right, and to receive the data analytics on all the events happening with the product from the supply chain up to the arrival into the customer's hands. And basically this is how, what Laurence has mentioned, the brand will have an absolutely precious information, data analytics from the very beginning, supply, up to how consumers use it. So I would say this is the first one. Then probably the second one, capability of customer to become the actor of this authentication process. Now it's very easy. You take a smartphone, you make a tap on the label, and you are able to see whether yes or no the product is authentic. And probably the third one is capability of authentication solution to last in time. Both from hardware side and from Selinco platform, we are able to ensure authentication of the product that was produced dozens of years before, right? So we believe this is something which is really needed in luxury.
Yep. So I think, Maria, probably it's going to be about time to close it off. I would say to the brands that really authentication is a subject that they should address. They have addressed it historically from really a brand protection perspective. The reality now is they will also empower the consumer to be able to certify and act as their authenticity agent, which is really offering new possibilities. Obviously, we have been working hand in hand with Electronique Marin to be able to put those solutions on the market, and we have obviously built a lot of expertise around this. So my ask is just come around the corner and visit us. Our booth is right down. Maria is with us for the rest of the afternoon. So if you have any question, we'll be happy to give you a little demo and host you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew, to those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke, to those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo, to those walking the no labels walk down our streets, to those who seamlessly blend in while simultaneously standing out, reinventing where originators left en route, embracing their fellow neighbor, embracing the oh la las and the oh no nos, embracing the fertile grounds to grow from the ground up, going, flowing, showing what life looks like when you swing it around. Again and encore and altijd. To those who dare embrace their perfectly imperfect selves and simply be. Be a Brusseler. Be a Bruxellois. Be a Bruxelaar. Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew, to those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke, to those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo. To those walking the no labels walk down our streets. To those who seamlessly blend in while simultaneously standing out. Reinventing where originators left en route. Embracing their fellow neighbor. Embracing the oh-la-las and the
Had a lot of opportunities here to speak with great people that I attended here. So a lot of investors, a lot of people that are interested in Ukrainian tech, and we want to participate in big Ukrainian tech community because it's growing, and we want to be a part of it. We want to show the world that we can.
Of course, that makes sense, of course. Could you also tell me a little bit more about where your startup is going to evolve in the couple days and years ahead? What I know that there is something big coming in, and
Actually,
so maybe I'm not. It's still a secret or not? Can we talk about it?
Yeah, a little bit. Little bit I can give you a peek. So there's a big insight coming for you. We're working on the second project. Actually, with this project we've been 2 years, and now it's time. It's time to go on. So we're working on the second mask. That's going to be much more. So it's going to give you much more opportunity, like to show yourself. It's going to have an emotional recognition mode. So I'm talking a little bit about it because it's a little bit a secret, but it's a pick for you. And for this mask, you can choose emotion from the application. But with the second mask, you just have to choose it with your face. You just have to smile, and mask will smile back. And it will be a lot of opportunities to just, like a Snapchat filter.
Yeah,
It will be easy and simple to make a real-life avatar. Make it.
Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew. To those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke. To those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo. To those walking the no labels walk down our streets. To those who seamlessly blend in while simultaneously standing out. Reinventing where originators left en route. Embracing their fellow neighbor. Embracing the oh-la-las and the oh-no-nos. Embracing the fertile grounds to grow from the ground up. Going, flowing, showing what life looks like when you swing it around. Again and encore and all that. To those who dare embrace their perfectly imperfect selves and simply be. Be a Brusseler. Be a Bruxellois. Be a Bruxelaar. Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew. To those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke. To those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo. To those walking the no labels walk down our streets. To those who seamlessly blend in while simultaneously standing out, reinventing where originators left en route, embracing their fellow neighbor, embracing the oh la las and the oh no nos, embracing the fertile grounds to grow from the ground up, going, flowing, showing what life looks like when you swing it around, again and encore and all that. To those who dare embrace their perfectly imperfect selves and simply be a Brusseler, be a Bruxellois, be a Bruxellaar.
Allô?
Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen,
Allô?
maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our
Du coup, bonjour. Oui. Donc, on est Immersive Technologies. On est une start-up wallonne que nous avons fondée en 2021. Donc, je suis Diana Borchescu, la cofondatrice et CEO, et Maxime Jacobs, cofondateur et CTO. Donc, nous sommes spécialisés dans les technologies immersives dans le milieu médical.
Donc on a constaté que la plupart des personnes qui sont institutionnalisées, c'est difficile à dire, souffrent de troubles neurocognitifs qui sont liés à leur institutionnalisation, puisqu'il y a un changement d'environnement qui est assez important et qui est soigné par la médication.
Oui, donc il y a énormément de solutions qui existent, mais pour la plupart, elles sont soit médicamenteuses, soit des solutions non médicamenteuses, mais on va le voir, elles sont souvent pas efficaces.
C'est ça. C'est aussi quelque chose qu'on a constaté en institution, c'est que ces solutions-là ne sont pas utilisées par les soignants et les soignantes, car finalement elles sont très complexes à déployer. Donc là on parle par exemple des robots sociaux et éventuellement des casques à réalité virtuelle qui ne sont parfois pas communément admis par les personnes qui ont des troubles neurocognitifs tels que Alzheimer ou Parkinson. Et concernant la médication, ça c'est quelque chose qui est aussi très important de noter, c'est qu'il cause plus de troubles qu'ils n'en résolvent finalement. Donc c'était ce que je disais tout de suite, on a les casques qui sont finalement peu admis On a les robots sociaux qui sont trop compliqués d'utiliser. On a le Salsnoezelen qui est un espace immersif très léger qui finalement n'est pas utilisé non plus. Et on a enfin les médicaments qui ne marchent pas vraiment.
Exactement. On a alors décidé de mettre en place le SAM, donc qui est le système autonome multisensoriel ou le Stress and Anxiety Management. C'est un système d'immersion sans casque, sans aucune contrainte physique, qui a pour but d'immerger les patients dans un environnement photoréaliste et totalement interactif, dans le but de réduire la charge médicamenteuse de ces patients. Et actuellement, on parle d'une réduction possible de 80% de cette charge médicamenteuse en institution.
Donc là, normalement, il y a une vidéo, mais vu que les slides en PDF n'ont pas de vidéo, il n'y a pas de vidéo. Mais si vous voulez voir la vidéo, elle est juste derrière aussi.
Ah oui.
Donc on a effectué une étude de faisabilité pour s'assurer que notre hypothèse était la bonne. Et cette étude a eu lieu en 2021 avec le labo de neurophysiologie à l'hôpital Erasme. Et les résultats sont assez intéressants puisque finalement 95% des patients qui ont testé l'expérience et qui ont vécu finalement l'expérience pendant plus d'un mois ont eu leur niveau de bien-être qui a augmenté pendant la séance avec des effets qui perdurent après. Et ça, c'est très important de le noter puisque c'est justement, encore une fois, quelque chose qui pourrait réduire ou être une alternative à la charge médicamenteuse. Donc là, on voit un peu plus précisément les résultats de cette étude. Encore une fois, ça, c'est des slides qui sont censés être animés, donc ça bouge un peu, mais bref. On voit les différents environnements qui ont été testés au sein de notre système. On voit qu'il y a eu une appréciation meilleure au niveau de leur bien-être, qui est bien mieux après qu'avant, finalement.
Et surtout, le fait que ça perdure dans le temps. Parce que beaucoup de solutions apportent du bien-être sur le moment, surtout en institution médicale, où la plupart des murs sont blancs et où il n'y a pas énormément d'activités, où les activités ne sont pas ciblées. Donc, logique que quand on propose une solution, que ce soit par exemple de la pétanque ou autre chose, le bien-être augmente pendant. Mais ce qui est intéressant, c'est de voir que le bien-être perdure. Et c'est pour cela que nous sommes en train de lancer une étude clinique, donc avec plus de 500 patients, qui pourra vraiment confirmer qu'on puisse baisser la charge médicamenteuse et surtout mettre en place des protocoles de comment baisser la charge médicamenteuse. Comment faire en sorte que les médecins puissent suivre des protocoles bien précis sans prendre de risques, tout simplement.
Donc, SAM, pour caractériser SAM, c'est un outil qui est simple d'utilisation. Encore une fois, pour faire face aux robots sociaux qui sont compliqués à utiliser, il n'y a aucune notion à apprendre pour pouvoir utiliser le système. Il est automatique. Ensuite, SAM, c'est un outil qui permet une liberté totale, que ce soit une liberté de déplacement dans le système en lui-même, qui fait 3,60 m sur 3,60 m, ou bien que ce soit une liberté totale dans les décors qui sont virtuels. Donc on va pouvoir se déplacer dans des environnements qui généralement font 4 km sur 4 km.
Oui.
SAM, c'est un outil qui tient tout seul, qui est réellement un kit tout en un. Donc nous, en tant qu'entreprise, on livre à la fois le système, donc qui est la box, mais aussi le logiciel qui est à l'intérieur. Et SAM permet une reconnexion sociale avec les proches et aussi les patients. C'est quelque chose qu'on a constaté durant les premières heures d'utilisation du système, c'est qu'en faisant venir la famille avec les patients, il y a des choses qui se passent dans des décors qui sont finalement autres que ceux des murs blancs des institutions.
Exactement, donc on a des patients, surtout en maison de repos, qui sont très isolés, qui de par leur médication ne parlent plus à leur famille, parfois plus même au personnel soignant. Quand la famille vient, les sujets de conversation sont très difficiles, parce que le patient n'a pas spécifiquement envie de parler et n'a pas de contexte à la rencontre. Et avec ça, on essaie de proposer un contexte pour les rencontres avec la famille, les proches, mais également un contexte où le personnel soignant et les patients vont pouvoir apprendre à se connaître dans un cadre qui sera sécurisé, sécurisant et qui leur permettra de discuter des diverses choses et des expériences qu'ils vont vivre ensemble. Donc concrètement, notre marché, c'est le marché médical, mais surtout le marché des maisons de repos, donc des EHPAD. C'est le marché sur lequel on a commencé. C'est un marché qui est en constante demande d'innovation et qui commence réellement à mettre des solutions utiles et pratiques en place. concrètement, en Belgique, on a plus de 1500 maisons de repos, donc avec des chiffres d'affaires qui sont quand même assez élevés. Et on s'est rendu compte, en réalisant nos premières études de marché et en les reconfirmant il y a quelques mois, que donc, la plupart des maisons de repos et des groupes, des maisons de repos et des EHPAD sont gérés par des grands groupes, souvent internationaux ou nationaux. Donc on peut citer Corian, Orpea, dont vous avez entendu parler dernièrement aussi, et d'autres groupes, mais ce sont des groupes qui fonctionnent souvent par acquisition. Ce qui veut dire qu'en Belgique, on avait beaucoup de groupes il y a déjà 5 ans, et finalement, en 5 ans, la plupart des maisons de repos que nous, on connaissait sont fait racheter par Corian, par exemple. Donc c'est vraiment un business qui est basé sur l'acquisition de plus petites entités. Mais ça permet également de proposer des solutions à plus grande échelle et d'avoir surtout un interlocuteur particulier dans nos échanges.
Non, c'est à toi, ça.
Oui, donc comme je disais, notre premier focus est de vendre ça directement aux maisons de repos et de soins, donc aux EHPAD, mais on est également en train de nous implémenter dans d'autres domaines médicaux, que ce soit la psychiatrie, l'autisme, la neurologie, où il y a également des possibilités d'utilisation et des possibilités de soins, avec également la possibilité de réduire la charge médicamenteuse des patients, ou en sciences de la motricité. Donc comment essayer de rééduquer, d'activer la rééducation physique des patients malades. Et on positionne SAM comme une nouvelle technologie. Donc on veut vraiment apporter et aider les institutions à apporter une image d'innovation, mais surtout une reconnaissance de bien-être et de montrer que ces institutions sont prêtes à mettre des solutions certaines qui marchent et surtout qui sont complètement
sans contrainte.
Sans contrainte pour leurs résidents. Exactement. Concernant la clientèle, c'était un peu compliqué au début parce qu'on a eu pas mal de discussions avec des conseillers, mais également avec des directeurs, directrices de maisons de repos, avec des institutions médicales. Et on s'est posé la question, qui est concrètement notre client? Parce que finalement, c'est le patient qui va bénéficier de la séance et qui aura une réduction de la charge médicamenteuse, mais c'est la maison de repos, l'hôpital, l'institution médicale qui va passer l'acte d'achat, et cet acte d'achat ne va pas être pris, la décision ne va pas être prise par la maison de repos, la décision va être prise par les médecins. Donc il faut d'abord convaincre les médecins qui, eux, aujourd'hui, surtout en Belgique, sont pas mal convaincus de notre solution, qui l'utilisent dans les maisons dans lesquelles on a installé le système. Mais c'est vraiment l'équipe médicale qui finalement utilisera le système avec les patients qui pourra convaincre les décisionnaires à passer l'acte d'achat. Et surtout, ce qui est intéressant avec l'équipe médicale, c'est qu'en Europe, on est en manque constant de personnel soignant, avec une population de plus de 65 ans qui va doubler d'ici 2050. Donc encore plus de manque de personnel soignant. Donc comment faire pour garder ce personnel-là et quelles solutions proposer aux institutions médicales pour le bien-être des résidents, mais également pour la facilitisation de la prise en charge des patients.
Donc actuellement, on a ça, on peut la cocher maintenant. Donc on en a 4 qui sont installés en Belgique. Un à la résidence La Cambre à Boisfort, un autre dans une maison de repos à Trémelo, qui est la plus grande maison de repos Corian avec plus de 800 lits. On a ensuite dans la faculté des sciences et de la motricité à l'ULB, où là il y a des expérimentations qui sont menées pour justement effectuer des exercices de reconnaissance du mouvement. Donc par exemple, on va pouvoir faire du kayak en agitant les bras, on va pouvoir faire du basket aussi. Et ce genre de choses vont se retrouver virtuellement dans le dispositif de façon à analyser la posture de la personne, de sorte à détecter des risques de chute éventuels dans les futures semaines à venir.
Exactement. Et également la Fondation SUSA. Donc la Fondation SUSA, c'est la fondation pour l'autisme en Belgique, où il y a plusieurs plans d'utilisation, donc avec la solution, que ce soit avec les enfants qui souffrent des troubles du spectre de l'autisme, où on pourrait simuler des situations réelles et détecter l'autisme précoce pour l'enfance, ou même pour des adultes qui souhaiteraient, par exemple, re-rentrer dans la vie sociale générale, et du coup, comment faire pour aider ces personnes à se sentir à l'aise dans des entretiens d'embauche, dans des conditions de la vie de tous les jours. Oui.
Mais c'est quoi ce slide?
Oui, ça c'est nous. Donc on est une équipe de plusieurs personnes, mais on est surtout 2 cofondateurs. Oui, c'est... Oui.
Ce slide devait être au début en fait pour nous présenter, mais
Il est un peu à la fin. Mais c'est vrai que voilà, donc aujourd'hui on est encore une petite équipe, on est 4 personnes à travailler à temps plein sur le projet, sur le produit, donc 3 personnes d'un point de vue technique, moi à temps plein d'un point de vue gestion, roadmap général. Et on a énormément d'aide, donc on est accompagné par WSL, qui est un des 10 meilleurs incubateurs tech au monde quand même. On a été accompagné par des incubateurs à Bruxelles également, comme eHealth Venture ou le Start Lab. Et par la WEX aussi. Oui.
bah, on en a déjà parlé. Donc il y a eu quelques erreurs de nos slides, je ne sais pas trop pourquoi. On a joué aux cartes avec sans doute, mais toujours est-il que je pense qu'on a fini notre présentation et j'espère que ça vous a intéressé.
Merci.
Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew, to those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke, to those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo, to those walking the no labels walk down our streets, to those who seamlessly blend in while simultaneously standing out, reinventing where originators left en route, embracing their fellow neighbor, embracing the oh la las and the oh no nos, embracing the fertile grounds to grow from the ground up, going, flowing, showing what life looks like when you swing it around. Again and encore and all that. To those who dare embrace their perfectly imperfect selves and simply be. Be a Brusseler. Be a Bruxellois. Be a Bruxelaar.
négocier ça alors. Après, mais c'est sans obligation, moi, on n'est pas obligé de le faire. Parce que c'est...
Ouais, enfin, si, en fait, c'est
au matin.
Ouais, mais je regarde notre agenda.
Et à la limite.
Ouais, demain matin, sans stress.
Bien.
Brussels comes with a different point of view. Listen, maybe we're not the perfect city for everyone, but to those who dare our rain or shine, exploring our many paths so divine, tearing things apart so they can build anew, to those who dare to smile, make a joke, take a joke, be a joke, to those wearing the many hats, as cool as cats, the club rat, the winner, the weirdo, to those walking